taken a little bit of time for us to get to talk to each other, but I'm
Yeah,
super
literally.
stoked. Yeah.
It's been a few, yeah, it's been a few weeks, over a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you actually right away before we get into what was it? Why did you say yes? What is it that would make you say yes? Because I have my reasons for asking people to come on, but I'm very curious about you.
So, um, I've been like wanting to just like speak out more about sex work and the things that I've been going through and see other people going through. I just think that like the more spaces we create between each other, like it's like nobody else is gonna do it for us. I feel like the more spaces we create or the more we reach out and the more we talk to each other, the better change we can create around, the more safety we can create for sex workers. Like we can just create a safer and like less judgy place for us. So this year I have been on that. I'm like, okay, if I see like someone that I like and I can connect with and we can like, talk and chat about things that's happening, like I'm definitely doing that. So yeah, I'm really glad that you reached out.
Oh, good. That's pretty much exactly why I started doing this. One was because I was very nervous to go online and find my community online, but like everyone else, I was forced to because of the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Mhm.
And there was a part of me that was like very uh, overwhelmed by how much was out there because I was not really an online person. I was always in person, and so I was both intimidated by the incredible amount of people doing amazing things, and also inspired. And I felt like, okay, there's some, I don't know, there's some wealth of wisdom in there that I could really tap into, and I have so much to learn. Even though I've been doing this for a very long time, I feel like such a beginner. And I do believe that by elevating our voices, by elevating the sex professions and sex professionals, I believe that will create more dignity and safety for all of us just by talking about us in a more respectable way. So
Agreed. That's exactly, yeah. I think we're thinking the same here. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
was the same way when I like, because I was also in person, same way as everybody. And like, I came across the online community and it just made me feel more like seen. It made me feel more seen and it made me feel, okay, I'm not just, because when you do it like, I don't want to say in real life, but like, yeah, like in person, it's like you have a very tight circle of people that kind of like know. I don't even share my profession with anyone. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like even though I'm an online person, like I'm online and I'm like open about what I do, I still don't disclose those information with everyone.
right.
So when we enter like these online communities or we just like meet more people like that, I feel like it just makes us feel more safe and seen, and instead of, because we know how it is in the outside world.
Yeah, I never felt like, sometimes I hear or read people talking about their opinions or their perspective. I'm talking about sex workers in particular. I'm like, damn it, I've been thinking that for so long. I'm very much not alone in this. And
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I'm not the only one, with that same understanding. I think that sex workers see a part of humanity that not everyone gets to see.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and like we're kind of like we hold everybody's secrets.
Yes, we do
So
hold everybody's secret.
yeah, we see everybody's secrets without judgment. And there's some sort of like quality to that that people don't understand is valuable as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really felt that. It's like there is so much that's like pushed on sex workers. Like there are so many things that are kind of pushed on sex workers, and like I feel like we do all of those things where we're like we're actively trying to change or advocate for sex work. We're actively trying to protect and save each other, kind of like at the club. Even obviously, I know you know what I'm talking about, like at the club and how everyone's like there, and then we actively like also listen to everybody else, and then we also like consistently take judgments like from the world every day on top of all of that. So I feel like, I don't know, sometimes it just makes me feel like a zombie, like to be able to do all of that and have to like stay empowered and inspire other people or myself. And then like I just kind of sometimes I'm feeling a zombie throughout it all, just because I feel like there is so much that I also take in,
Yeah.
you know? So I think, yeah, it feels beautiful and painful at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a special job, I think. Okay, can you tell me, I want to know about you. I want to know how you got here. Do you have a particular like origin story, as we call them, like, or that
Like
you like to
how
share?
I got into sex work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
and maybe how you got, like, where are you now as well?
okay. So like I come from a very like religious, strict part of the world. I grew up in Iraq, and I lived in Syria. My family is pretty strict. I moved to America, to New York, when I was like 17, and it was like I'm just mentioning that because my background is very strict. So I internalize a lot of like sexism. I internalize a lot of like whorephobia, all of that, a lot of shame around my sexuality because I am gay. So like so I was just been internalizing like all of these things for years, right? So I remember one time like I was, because I'm also a barber, so I was working in the barber shop, and like I was like trying to get a place at the time, and I was also bartending. So my friend that I was bartending with at the time, she was a dancer, and she was looking for a place to live, and we were just bartending together and chilling. She's like, let's get a place together. We got a place together. I was short on rent one time, and she's like, come with me to this club 2 hours away, you know, I got you, like we'll get the money. I went, made the money. And like it was just so crazy that night, but like I just did it, and then I froze after. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Type of shit, like more internalized, like all of these negative feelings. And then I waited a few years, I got back to it. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. But that's like, that's a little story.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, well, there's there's a few things that like brought me here. Um, I had, I don't tell this story very often. So maybe I
I
had
want to hear it.
I had a friend who was very lonely all the time, and he used
Okay.
me to stay and hang out with him, and he would pay me, and sometimes I would give him a blowjob, and
That's amazing.
he
Boom,
paid me as
started.
well. And then I found a benefactor to pay for me to go to university, like a, not like a sugar daddy, but because his wife was really into it too. And
Oh, it's like a couple thing.
yeah,
No.
she was like, don't just pay for school, like make sure her apartment is cared for and her living. She's like, this girl's got to go to school, like that's it, you know. And that was like a very beautiful relationship. You know, we had our own arrangement, I guess.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and then
It's safer than the club sometimes to be like, you know, having like like a couple clients that take care of you like that. I kind
yeah,
of want to go like towards that as well.
yeah, and then I was introduced to some websites. I'm not going to name all the things, but
Mhm.
for, because when I was in school, like uh, it wasn't helping me like thrive financially. It was just getting me to school and back basically. So I started doing more because because I live in Montreal. I don't speak French, and it's very difficult to get work if you don't speak French.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, even with the French that I have,
It's not.
they won't hire me anyway. And
Wow. Okay.
so so I was just doing full service, but as an independent through these websites, and then I
Is
saw,
it safe in Canada? How is
is
that?
it
Is it?
safe? I'm safe, you know, like I created safety measures for myself, but and it's not decriminalized, but
Oh, I
it's
was in.
a
Okay.
Nordic system where it's not illegal to sell sex, but it is illegal to purchase it.
It's illegal to purchase it, but it's not illegal to sell it. So it does
So
have more protection to sex workers, like,
it protects
or
sex
is it
workers,
like loops,
kind of.
loopholes, like where you're still fucked?
No, I mean, like I claim my taxes, you know,
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
but I can't really invoice anybody, you know, like it's kind of a weird,
Wow.
it's really
Okay.
strange because
Okay.
I
I
can't
mean,
out the people.
yeah.
Yeah, so like it's not helpful because it still stigmatizes the purchasing of sex, which I think is a real problem, because I think there's a lot of the violence that we um receive is because there's shame involved in the purchasing, in the consuming of sex.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
all of that shame is pushed onto us, and
Mm-hmm.
and the cycle repeats itself, the violent cycle. And it also, because consumers can't purchase in a dignified way, it forces sex workers to find their clients, you know, on the street, or you know, it's the same thing as it might as well be illegal, you know.
I see. I see what you mean.
So it's
Like how,
complicated.
yeah, like I mean,
And that's my take
for
on it, right? Like I don't want to,
huh?
that's my take on it. I don't
Of
want to
yeah.
speak for, you
Yeah.
know,
It's still
everyone.
like Canada is a lot better in terms of the laws, obviously, than I'm just saying than here, than New York and then America. We really are
Oh my
fucking terrible
God.
here.
Well, I know. Okay. And then the Sesta Fosta motherfucker of a thing. Like, what, how, so it affects me. What's happening with you? Do you want to touch on that at all? It's a fun topic.
Yeah, it's a right. It's like an endless topic. I could talk about this forever because I get so
Yeah.
angry every day because well, okay, so basically we have I don't know if you know about like the FOSFA and FOSTA laws.
Yeah.
Basically these are the laws in the USA that in the USA. I never say USA, I feel like, but
Me
in
neither.
America, right? In America that criminalize full service sex work. They it also it's also why all these changes happened in Instagram.
Yes.
It's also why all of the changes happened in TikTok and Facebook. So these laws, like, I mean, that's why when like Kamala Harris was, I was like happy because it's not like Trump, but at the same time, Kamala Harris in the past voted in favor of those laws. Um, and in turn, that obviously criminalized a ton of sex workers and threatened their safety. And it also threatens our safety because when these websites, like basically when they shut down, and the more websites that shut down, it's gonna be the like harder for sex workers to be safe because obviously it's gonna be you know how it goes, and again dependent on someone, some type of an asshole fucking guy that's just gonna take advantage, like all of this you know, when there is no when there are like when they're gonna take all the ways that you can use to help and like to help yourself or to be
Yeah.
safe or to promote yourself, we're gonna be running out of resources, and that's what's going on with those laws. And yeah, it's terrible. We're way back because there is another bill that about FOSFA and FOSTA that like that we're waiting for them to vote on in a couple of
Yeah.
months. And it's just scary because Kamala Harris has such a history of like voting in favor of those bills. So I'm just not feeling good. But again, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna clarify for anyone who's listening, like the
Yeah.
SESTA foster rule, what they do basically is they hold the platform accountable for any content that's inside of it. So it's like I'm gonna use an example that L. Stanger uses, which is it's like making the library responsible for murder if there's books inside about murder, and so because in the US it's illegal to be a sex service provider, if you promote that you're doing that, they have the right to to penalize Instagram. So because Instagram is like the library of the content, and there was, I think it's section C20.
I think so.
I gotta write these down.
Yeah.
This section, it actually was like the protector law that said that the platforms are not responsible for the content that its users upload, and it's basically, that's the law that has helped the internet stay free for our for not like for no censorship. And instead of really trying to crack down on people that are causing real harm, they're cracking down on sex workers who are providing a service consensually, because there's a moral standpoint, and because it's all in the name of saving people who may be or may not be sex trafficked, which is a totally different arena. No one agrees with that, but
I hate when people intertwine the two. It does not have anything in common. Nothing, zero.
Yeah.
And I just, it makes me really angry when those things
Yeah.
are, brought up together, obviously, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so every time I talk about myself as a sex worker, the things that are you safe? Like, are you okay? And
Right.
the ideas that maybe I don't look like the image of a sex worker that people have in their mind, which is also a version of sex work. There's lots of types, but like this,
Right.
like you wanted
Right.
to talk about like survivalism.
Yeah. We were going to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it doesn't, for me personally, just because I don't look that way doesn't mean that that's not true.
Right.
As well. And so I'm curious about what you wanted to talk about in terms of the difference between like these extremes of like the empowered sex worker and the survivalism. I know this was kind of dear to your heart, and so I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. So, for me, I think that it's great that we all move towards like a narrative where we're all trying to um feel less shamed about what we do, because it is very obviously judged and shamed in society.
Mm.
And if it wasn't for, like, for example, like, obviously we're all, but I feel like that's an internal work that we need to do as like individuals and as collectives, just because all of us struggle with shame around sexuality or sex work, or like around other women, even like we have so much like that we need to work on. Yeah. And just because I feel like we are sex workers, because we are in the field, I feel like it's kind of like expected of us to carry that narrative on top of what we deal with. Also, another thing is, obviously we see all of these celebrities and people that are very privileged take that narrative and fucking spin on a pole and like wear our aesthetics and appropriate it without advocating for sex workers or what's going on in our world, like completely oblivious to all of that. And obviously we see this and we're like, what the fuck, you never talked about us, you don't mention anything about what we go through, yet you seen it trending, so now you're taking, oh, empower yourself, I'm a strong ass, like whatever, like, you know nothing about what we go through. and then you're taking that narrative and just like implying it on your privileged rich self, like what Bella Thorne did with OnlyFans. And like obviously, you know, and that, you know, that's a similar example on how she actually had the nerves to say she came up with it. Like she was the first one to do it. Like we're all sitting here like you know, content creators put so much work, like they go above and beyond, you know, in their work, literally videos, and like all she did was send fucking pictures of bikini in her to like for $200, like broke it's those things. That's the result of those things to me. That's what I see. The people who get empowered the most, empowered, are the ones who need our aesthetics to get views, to get more money, yet they have nothing, they don't want anything to do with us. Now, like real sex workers are still shamed, are still judged, and they're not protected. So that like empowerment narrative is like, yes, we all need to work on ourselves and heal those like internalized sexism and internalized homophobia. Like I mentioned, I like struggled for so long with that, but that's different. I feel like as women, as femmes, we all need to do that regardless, you know, of whether we're sex workers or not, because it affects all of us. Because we do live under the patriarchal society. So obviously that affects all of us. So I feel like that's kind of what I stand for. And me, I'm out, like I'm an out sex worker, like also. So, but I'm still, like I said earlier, I'm not out to a lot of people, and I don't feel comfortable disclosing this information with a lot of people. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I fall with that.
Yeah. I love what you said about the internalization that we've done of misogyny, really.
Yeah.
Like what we're trying to break out of, and sexual repression, and how it affects our ability to connect with each other even. And like, you know, like the work we're trying to do is solidarity as much as possible, and valuing the different experiences that we all have, in just trying to reclaim some sort of control over the exploitation of our bodies that are happening. It's happening anyway,
and in front of us.
and in front of us.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that got me into sex work too. Is like I'm always getting harassed or asked out when I know they don't really want to. I mean, like I used to say, criminalize dinner in a movie, you know, like we all know what dinner in a movie means. It's like,
right,
if you assume that X equals Y, you know, then just give me the fucking money. And then I just had a rule for love or money, like, you know, if and then that, for me, having that for love or money rule made it a lot easier to discern who is gonna get access to my treasure, my temple, you know, whatever that is.
Yeah.
However, I just want to add this. I have definitely used my sexuality to find a place to sleep at night, and to make sure that I'm eating as well. Those things also have existed for me, you know. So I am educated, but I'm not I wasn't able to be educated without that work.
Exactly. That's such good. Those are such great points that like you mentioned. Yeah, like literally, like if you like, I feel like it's constant education too towards that. Like it's never just like, because I also go to therapy for that. Like I actually have a therapist that is like that's a sex worker. And I just love that, because we can connect, which is something that I feel like we need to really focus on in the community, is like therapy and healing, and just really encourage that narrative. And because I know like that really changed a lot of things when I had a therapist that's like already a sex worker, and already like, it's like, you know, when I'm talking to you right now about like about healing that shame, or just decolonizing ourselves in terms of that, like when you have someone who understands these things, it's just such a fresh like air. Like you feel like, oh, I don't have to keep explaining myself. Like we
Yeah.
all know that. Like exactly those points. Like same for me. And one of the biggest like reasons I got into it is same. Like I was still am harassed and sexualized constantly, like literally all the fucking time. And like I had so many relationships where I'm like, I should have charged the whole fucking entire time. Like when I used to date
Yeah.
men, like I would like wanted to throw up. How could I even like for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
you already are oppressing us and sexualizing us and profiting off of us while we get paid less, we get respected less. We're just not, we're not in positions of power. It's 2020. The least I can do is charge you
Yeah.
for fucking looking at me because that's how amazing I am. Like that is definitely something that's gonna stay with me forever and something that motivates me to go to work when I hate to go to work.
Okay.
Those nights are like, I don't want to go to work, but this one
Can
of the
we
things
talk
I'm like,
about
okay,
work?
get your ass to work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's still work. Can we talk about work a little bit?
Oh my God, let's talk about work. Let's
Okay.
talk about fun stuff. Yeah, work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a question for you. Do you define yourself as a dancer only? Can I ask? Do you do full like what's your range of work? Like
So yeah, so I'm a dancer, a stripper. I also do OnlyFans. The
Mhm,
content, I don't do full service sex work.
mhm.
The content I create there is like mostly dancing, like self-pleasure content, just me most of the time. Like they're fucking myself or either dancing one of the, wait, we can't say that in the podcast. Can we say
Yeah.
that? Oh.
Of course.
I'm like, but yeah, either one of those two. So basically, I think, yeah. And then, like, I would say sugar babying, like, I just started getting into it just because one of my other friends that's a dancer, she just wants to feel safe and protected and wants me to go with her. So I'm like, okay, like, I can also try to get into it a little. I feel like that's something, if I like can like manage a way where I can find someone that I can like be around. Definitely, that's something I am looking into as well.
Yeah.
But as of now, this is what I do, and the clubs just open back up in the city, so I should be getting back to work in a couple weeks.
Are you scared to go back into the clubs with this COVID thing? Like how like we're not I'm living in a hot spot for COVID in Canada. It's not nearly as much as you guys are going through. We're getting a little bit of stimulus like every 2 weeks. We can apply if we want for a little bit of money.
That's fucking amazing. We're terrible here.
And everyone has to wear a mask. It's the law. If you want to be in public, if you want to go into a store, you have to wear a mask. And right now we're under like a curfewed lockdown. So I can't leave after 8 o'clock. Can't leave my house. So like it's like it's been a year, man.
I
It's like it's getting
think that like I am so jealous of you right now. We literally are fucking terrible here, from Trump like mishandling the whole pandemic to now to now following through with the same. Like first of all, like it was so much like anti-maskers going around. We got like one stimulus or two stimulus checks, that's it. Like they didn't take care of us. They're fucking terrible. So they keep opening back and closing back, like opening back and closing back. Obviously that's not going to be good. Like just do what you're doing pretty much. I think that would be good, but obviously America sucks, so here we are. Right now we're open till 11 at night time. You have to wear like obviously a mask, and you there's not contact like before. Definitely not as much money as before. But yeah, it's different. It fucking sucks. Basically, I just miss what like before COVID, and I just can't wait for this year to be over with.
this never-ending year. Is that why you're on OnlyFans?
Yes, that is why I'm.
Me too.
Same. Like what am I gonna do? I'm trying to just get it all together here and there.
Yeah. Well, I say that's why, but I also really like making the content.
Do you?
Yeah, I always wanted to make. I'm I'm going to be 40 this year, and I
Wow, you look
feel like,
amazing. Stop.
thank you. Well, I feel like I missed out on a lot of things that I wish I had done, but I didn't have the confidence to do. And I also I hadn't done the internal work, and I knew if I got into it, I was probably going to hurt myself. So I never got into porn, and I never got into stripping. And those are two things that I'm like, I want to do now. I'm like, am I too old? I don't know. We'll see.
No.
But
Oh my
I'll
God.
say making the content has been a lot of fun.
I'm glad you like it. I actually tend to like dancing a lot more, just because like I can go there, I can just get my bag, come back home, not think about it.
Yeah.
With OnlyFans, I have like really bad ADHD, and I also struggle with depression and anxiety, which is connected to like my ADHD, which
Sure.
makes me lack so much motivation to like create. So
Yeah.
it's something that I like struggle with. But other than that, other than that, I actually really like it, because I'm like in charge of so many things versus going to the club and like there are a couple things you're not in charge of. But again, I love just being at the club and getting my bag, going home, sleeping, and like that's it. you know?
Can you tell me when you go in, like I asked this question to a lot of these babes. What is your before and after ritual? Like, do you like what is you I mean, I don't have to get into it.
I love that question so much. I'm so excited because I love that. So let's say like it's a day that I'm just like know that I'm gonna be working later that night. I usually like wake up and like do my coffee, smoke my joint and everything. And like I'm gonna for a couple hours, usually I'm gonna run errands like before work, usually is what I do. So it's either my nails done, like whatever I need done before work. If I need a new hair or something like that, like I'll just because I always need something. I'm
Yeah.
always needing something before work and I have to go get it. I don't know why, like either fishnet, something. And I'll be back home. I'll do like a whole scrub routine and like shave and everything while I put on like a money song playlist.
Oh,
Mostly like
like you're
songs that like,
manifesting or
yeah, I
I would,
have to like listen. Yeah,
do you have a Spotify playlist?
I
Like
do.
your
I can share. Yes,
share with
obviously.
me?
Yes. I got you. This like hypes me up to be there, like talking about money and all of that. I listen to Cardi a lot because I'm like, I'm gonna be like Cardi, she's like my
She's a
god because she was a stripper and everything. So anyway, so I'm putting
yeah.
that on. I'm doing my skincare, I'm like getting ready and like doing my affirmation. And then I would put like really good oil. I like would want to smell so good before I get out. It's something that like makes me want to go there and make money.
I am mad. I see this often online as the oils. The girls are really
Love
into
that.
like stripper witching. I don't know if you follow her.
I don't think so. I need to.
I'm just always seeing the feedback, like the reviews of like, oh my god, I got this oil and like bam bam bam, so many bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's your before. How about
Yeah.
picking out your outfit? Like, is there a way that you get into that? I don't know.
The
Is
like
there,
the switch up from Hadra to Jazzy.
yeah.
I definitely need to smoke, and then like I'll probably want to do it sometimes like a glass of wine before work too.
Yeah.
And like once I get there, I just listen to some music and I just like kind of like try to distract my anxiety by just like scanning the whole club and just going to guys right away. I'm
Just
just
do
like
it.
going, yeah.
Just
I
get
just because I have so much like social anxiety that like if the minute I sit, when we have to sit and wait sometimes, and I know a lot of times is slow, a lot of times,
it.
but like for me when it's slow, I practice on the pole. I'm just trying to stay in the work mindset. Once I sit on my phone, then I'm not like really working. So I
Right.
think that's one of the things that like I really try to focus on. So I'm just like targeting people right away. I'm always going also like talking to my girlfriends at the club. I try to work with them and make money with them because I really like working with other girls to make money. I love that. We usually make a bigger bag. So I usually just go around, see who wants a partner. Like that's my mind the whole time. And after work, I just come back, usually take a shower, literally fucking eat leftovers, smoke a joint, go to bed at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Count my money in the morning, the next morning. I never count my money when I get my home.
You like, would it cause a little bit more anxiety to count it at night? Like, why? Or is it just because you're tired?
Honestly, just because I'm so fucking tired. Like, I literally get
It's a
so tired, and
long
I'm just like,
night.
I'm gonna go to the bank in the morning anyways. Like, I'll just count it before I go to the bank, because I usually like have to drop off the money at the bank. So I'm like,
Right.
it's okay. I'm just tired.
Okay.
But if I know I made a big bag that night, oh my God, I'm counting. I get excited, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Money motivates, especially when you're
Literally.
in the flow, when you're in it and it's coming. So, okay, I want to talk to you about money then.
Yeah.
Because I went through this and I wonder if you did. Because like I chose to have a very high rate, meetup rate. So because I just feel like I just wanted to have a very large return on my investment. And for me, I wanted to have work where it created more time for me to do my art and my other things. So, but I would come into this thing where I like make a big chunk of money really quickly. And then I think that it was just going to be coming all the time. And then, so it was like easy come, easy go. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I had to learn, it was a process to learn to like save it. And like it's, you know, it's meant to create some sort of safety and nest, and not, it's like, don't spend it too quickly, like you
Yeah.
expect it to be coming all the time. Did you go through this process at all?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just like being young. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but especially with us and our work, because we do make a lot of cash and like a bigger amounts of
Thing.
money for a shift
Yeah.
versus other jobs, we do it is easier to just be like, because like, you'll be making like 800, 1,000 in a night or something or more. And of course, for one shift, that's amazing. For a lot of jobs, I know that that's really good money. But for us, it'll be like sometimes that's what we make like one day that week, and then the rest of the day, for example, we're making 300 here and there, 200 here and there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, that's it.
yeah, so budgeting, I feel like it's really fucking important. It's something that I'm not good at, but once I started dancing, I fucking had to be, just because of how much cash. So what I do is just like I have a notebook, and like I try to count everything
Yeah.
every day and then every week, and like put it into my budget. And like I would just kind of program my mind into, I'm like, okay, I made 1,000 last night, or I made it 300 last night. I need to go to the club 2 more nights.
Right.
Like I would just kind of like give myself, like, I kind of know that I want to make a certain amount of money by the end of the week. And then if I kind of didn't meet it in the club, I'll be like, all right, I'll go an extra day. Or if I did meet it, I'll like give myself a rest. I do give myself a lot rest than I should, but yeah, that's kind of how I manage my money. I just kind of like have a goal, and if I don't meet it, I'm gonna go another day. I'm gonna go another day. You know what I mean?
I think that's really smart. I mean, you don't want to overwork yourself, but you
Yeah.
also, if you have your goal and if you haven't met it yet, then something is missing somewhere to like.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, come in. Sorry.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
Oh wait,
Okay, I'm back.
are you sure? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple more questions for you
Okay.
on my my sticky notes.
Your sticky notes, I love that.
So, you are in a relationship?
So I am talking to someone right now that lives in Washington. I wouldn't say a relationship, but we just kind of started dating. Well,
Okay.
talking.
I didn't know. I was wondering because I
No.
wanted to know about
Yeah.
about intimacy as a
Huh?
sex worker. I want to know about intimacy as a sex worker. Like what is your relationship to intimacy?
Oh my God, that's such an important question. And I think that like I also have a lot to unpack because of like my past dating history around, like dating and being a sex worker. I think, yeah, I was telling you we're gonna talk about that as like such a big thing.
Mm.
So for me, when I dated men, you know, before I came out, like it was really difficult, like a lot more it was just a lot to deal with. I feel like I had to first like work and do all of that and worry about everything at work, and then like still feel judged and still feel like I'm not enough and still feel shamed
Yeah.
constantly. Definitely went through that for a long time. And you know, when you're in it, it's so crazy because like when you're in it, you literally like justify everything, all the abuse and all the shame that you get. You're like, duh, like my job, I know my job carries all this. So I'm just grateful that my partner even like lets me. But like you gotta understand that that's
Me.
you, that's your job. Like no one should ever control you. But like I used to really think like that. Like I used to think at least I have someone who can even put up with it, you know? So
Yeah.
I definitely, it sucks that I hate that mindset. But after I fucking again went like try to heal myself from that, and like also um meet people that are radical, and like after I came out and everything and all of that, like I started to set a lot of boundaries around that. And the minute, literally the minute anybody says anything remotely shameful, remotely like degrading, remotely, I'm saying like the
Yeah.
littlest,
Shame
I
you. Yeah.
immediately have to end it. I'm not going to do the education, and I'm not responsible for any of that, because in a partner I expect them to already be there. So I just had to set that for myself. I remember even like, that's a little story. I like was dating this girl actually, and I remember I was just like, I'm really busy with OnlyFans right now. Like I can't see you or something. Um and then she was like, oh, I would want to help. Or what did she say? I don't remember. She's like, do you need any help or something? And I was like, oh no, I'm used to doing like my work by myself, right? And then she was like, oh, even if I would help, like I would catch an attitude and I wouldn't like that. And like the minute I got that, I'm like, okay, that's done. Like for me, anytime I sense, but like anything like that, I'm just like, you're not gonna be able to be around me, and it's not fair for that person, and it's not fair for us to like even feel anything like that. Like it takes a long time for us to like kind of exist and like heal. So I feel like it's really important to choose, and I say choose because we can do that. We can choose a partner that we really need and want, and that can support us if we do need and want a partner, which I do love having a partner. um if we need that, like we have to set those boundaries. We have to be very serious about them. And right now, so the person I'm talking to, like I'm very open to them about that. They understand all of those things. They're very radical, they're supportive. So far it feels like, okay, I don't have to feel those feelings. Like they were so supportive of this interview. They're like, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, oh, you're so cute. Like, you know, like, oh, I'll get you. I'm like, oh, that's so adorable. Like it's just, you know, it's an interview about sex where that they're so, you know, and I'm like, that's the kind of, that's what we need. We need like a lot of support.
Yeah. I used to not open with this is what I do.
Oh, okay.
Now, well, I mean, I'm in a fully committed monogamous relationship
Okay.
with my boyfriend. But he was my best friend for 6 years. So it's not like he
That's
didn't know,
amazing. Those
but
are the best.
it's the best.
They are. That's
The best.
amazing. Yeah.
It's the best. Um, yeah, so like, but I remember like at what point do I tell this information? Ugh, it was just so complicated, you
It
know.
is complicated. And I feel like disclosing this information is always something that I think of, and like think when I'm gonna do that in dating. Literally like, okay,
Yeah.
when is the time that I'm like gonna disclose that, because I know it's gonna be a reaction behind it. And I had terrible reaction, terrible experiences, and not just like in the past, recently. Like it's always there. You know, it's a time like it's not as
Yeah.
flowers and like as we think, is it? You know?
The stigma is there, like it's just always it can always be there if you let it. That's for sure.
Exactly. And
But
that's
have you
why I said
ever
like you
been out?
have to be very fucking like serious about the boundaries that you set for yourself.
Yes.
You're like, you gotta remember how amazing you are, and you gotta remember literally like you got to be educated around like sex work. You want to be educated, like read about that shit, meet other people that do it, talk to them about their relationship, like create a community for yourself, just like surround yourself by other people that can support you in that. And I think that it's easier to go into that abusive spiral with someone, because it's easy to kind of like just shush for a lot of us, but yeah, just
Yeah.
fucking set those boundaries and be serious about it. Constant education, like being around other sex workers, like all of that I think matters so much, which is why I'm glad that I'm here and we're talking. Like all of that makes a difference at the end of the day.
I think so. Even if only one person connects with something that's been said, I think that has immense value to it. I want to ask you about coming out to your family. Has that happened yet? What was that like for you?
So I like never really came out to my family about sex work, or me in general. About sex work, I never.
You've never, okay, they don't know about that you're a sex worker. They don't know
Yeah.
that you're a stripper. Okay.
Huh?
They don't know that you strip.
No, but my sister knows.
Okay. So one person, one
One.
core person sees you and knows you
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
you.
How
That's
about you?
family. Oh, everybody knows.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I came out in 2019, and because I put on an event, a show, an art
That's
show
great.
called The Parlor Project, and I couldn't advertise for it without really like saying that that's what happened. And I wish I'd come out even sooner, but anyway, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But everyone that was important to me and that was the center of my life has always known. Always. That's never been a secret. And most people aren't surprised when they find out.
They're like, we know already.
Yeah. And even like my church is very supportive of
That's
me.
amazing.
Generally, I wouldn't say every member, but like
Yeah.
but I work in the leadership like nationally for my church, and I've done.
They're like, cool, we support you. That's at church. That's amazing.
Generally, yeah.
Right. Generally speaking.
Okay, I have a couple more questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
All right.
Yeah. Let me see here. Let me just look. Okay. I want to ask you if you have a vision for yourself, what does that look like for you?
I think for me, when I see like kind of like the future,
Sure. Yeah.
I think the future, an all over vision for myself is just to always like actively engage in creating a safer space for like sex workers of color, for marginalized communities, for all the people that like are oppressed, and that they need their voices to be amplified. They need safer spaces and communities. And so I feel like for me, my vision, I kind of always see that like in the background, like I'll be always doing something like related to activism, or just engaging in that, creating that change. In terms of like my like career, I would say I do see like I'm gonna definitely like continue with OnlyFans and like do a lot more with that. I kind of see myself dancing for like maybe 3 or 4 more years. I don't know yet. I'm just kind of like, that's what I'm like thinking of. I have this idea of like, because my knees are so terrible at work, like when I work, I'm very sensitive to bruising, and I'm always bruising. I have this idea of creating these like sexy kneecaps that like connect to lingerie, and like having that going hopefully within like 2 years. It's something that I've been wanting to work on. So I think I'll be still like within the sex work world, but I just want to like I want to give back, but like kind of like what I went through, take that and try to do better. And
Yeah.
like even if it comes to like education, activism, again, the lingerie, like what I needed, things that I needed I couldn't find, I want to work on creating those things. Or also I want to get into psychology and sex work. So that's something also in like far future that I want to focus on, because I love talking to other sex workers about what they go through and how they're healing. It's something that's really, really big to me. Um, so yeah, all of those things are in the vision.
I think that's a beautiful vision. Do you want
Thank
to
you.
talk to me a little bit more about workers of color? I will
Yes.
just make a broad statement about that, and then I want to hear what your experience is of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely when it comes to sex workers of color, we deal with not just the stigma of sex work. It's, and obviously that, you know, colorism also exists. So when you're, the darker you are, the more oppression you face, the more discrimination you face in the club. um and it's very it's especially in New York. It's a very like common thing. Like racism and colorism is a very common and accepted thing kind of in the club. Like there's a ton of clubs like that are like in certain places that wouldn't hire certain girls. There's there's clubs that wouldn't hire, for example, girls with tattoos or anything, but like there are clubs that wouldn't hire girls because of their skin color, because of the way they wear their hair, because of the way that they are. And it's a very like common thing. It's still, and it's 2020, and it's kind of like the clubs feel justified in the way they are, because they would say, oh, we have a preference for those girls, like this club has a preference for those girls. Like no, it's blatantly like discrimination and racism and colorism. And that's something that I see all the time at clubs. And it's like there are so many clubs I can't get into because like I'm not white, you know, even though that I'm a lighter skin color. Like I still can't get into a lot of clubs because they specifically would want just like blonde white girls. Like, and those clubs, they make the most money. So like racism and colorism is a very much like big thing in New York clubs, and it's something that I actively want to speak about and bring up, because literally that is the most marginalized and vulnerable group of sex workers that are the most unsafe, that
Yeah.
are the most unprotected, and that are the most stigmatized and judged. So I feel like whatever we fall in our privilege within sex work, we need to always be actively speaking up about sex workers of color, because they face the most discrimination and the most oppression. And then we can like try to do what we can with the privilege that we have to support them and help them.
I 100% agree. I just signed a petition. I'm going to be interviewing a girl I'm really excited about. But I don't know if she started it, but anyway, she's talking about in Edmonton, so in Canada. Her experience is that there's a black girl quota is what she called it. And
Hmm.
once they're like, sorry, we already have this many black dancers.
That's
So
in Canada.
yeah,
Wow.
so we
Okay.
can't hire you.
Yeah.
Like they have, sorry, like we've already reached our max, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and she's fighting to get rid of this like stupid justification.
Yeah.
I think it happens because in sexuality is like it's fantasy and it's fetish, and so there's this uh, uh not appropriate um uh justification for using certain types of appeals to populate whatever service is being provided. I guess like in porn it looks very different, in full service it looks different, but and then in strip clubs I think it's got this like uh I think you really feel it. I'm only guessing because I'm not there,
Yeah.
because it's so in your face, like you're inside of this like fishbowl
Yeah.
where you can literally see who all is being chosen, not chosen, you know, like how it's being populated. Whereas like in porn or whatever, it's kind of endless
Yeah.
and people are searching for their particular fantasy and it looks very different. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think
No,
it,
that's no, absolutely.
is that I'm only putting myself in that, if I was in the club, how that would feel and how I
Yeah.
would feel. I don't know. I just think that that just feels really gross.
Yeah.
Like, I
It's
don't,
2020. I can't believe like we still have to deal with
yeah,
those things. I always say that, but again, like I think we think we're changing, but like you know what I talked about earlier, how like the privileged and famous people kind of like carry that narrative while all of us like kind of pushed in the back.
yeah,
It's how it feels in a lot of ways because those are the people that are profiting the most.
yeah, on our backs.
Yeah.
Everything's built on our backs,
Yeah, exactly.
and then we're discarded.
Yeah.
We're treated in horrible ways. I feel,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
exactly.
and then what else was I going to say? Oh, I don't. I just watched. There was I don't know if you know the Soldiers of Pole.
Mm-mm. What's
Yeah, I
that?
mean, there's so many. I don't know. It's an organization that's.
Okay.
I think it's called Strippers United now or something like that.
Okay.
But
It's Canadian or
no, it's American. I think it's international actually because there's a
okay.
lot, there was people from New Zealand, there was people, anyway, they just hosted this like really great online show. It was all black strippers and
Okay, that's awesome.
it was so much fun. The
Mhm.
music was really great. I mean, the dancing was incredible, but what I
Yeah.
really loved was the freedom. I felt like I got to be in a room. I was privileged enough to be in a room. I paid to be in the room and I tipped I tipped as well as I
As
could.
always, we should. Like that's what I'm
Yeah,
like. As
yeah,
strippers, we know we do. I tip more at clubs when I go
yeah,
out.
yeah, me too. But anyway, that
Yeah.
what I felt like the honor that I felt was to be able to witness people feeling free to express themselves however they
Yeah.
wanted. And to me, I was like, man, we need more rooms like this. Like, how much
Yeah.
fun would it be to go to a club where everyone felt
Yeah, that would
liberated to really let loose? Wow,
and
I
be
would
themselves.
love that,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
I really want like I also have like a long-term vision of like a creating a space, a club for sex workers of color to be themselves and for like queer people to
Yeah.
exist. And like I want everyone to just kind of like not like on like men focused, but I do that like I do know that most of our clientele are men and that's what we cater to, so it's something of
Yeah.
course that's like part of the business. But I would love to have be in a club where it's like free queer people are there, like people of color are there, and it's just like feels inclusive and not fucked up like how every club is.
Well, I think that that's within reach. I definitely do. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, it is within reach. You're right.
absolutely. Well,
Absolutely.
we're running out of time, but I want
Okay.
to just ask if there's anything on your heart that we missed that you really wanted to share. Now's your chance.
I think we pretty much covered all the stuff like that are on my mind so far. But I also have a terrible memory. So
Me too. Okay, so my last question, I ask everybody this. Today, if you were a flower, what flower would you be?
that's a beautiful question. Look at you. How cute. I think I would today I would be a sunflower, the yellow one. It's a sunflower, right?
Yeah,
That's what's it called.
yeah. With
The
all the
big one, yeah.
the
That's
middle
what I
and
yeah,
like the
that's what I
bobtails,
because
it's
I have like the yellow makeup, so I just feel like that flower today.
beautiful. Well, I'm gonna add you to this bouquet that I've been collecting with such
So
gratitude.
cute. So
Yeah,
cute.
yeah. I feel like I just want to like look at this beautiful bouquet and remember
I
all of,
love that.
yeah, all the great nuggets of wisdom that you have shared. And I just want to thank you for being vulnerable and for showing up and for sharing. I think your story is going to connect with someone out there who needs to know that they're not alone. And I can't wait to promote as much as I can whatever it is that
Hey,
you'll be up to now and in the future. Thank you very much for letting me in.
thank you so much for having me. Thank you for making me feel heard and like just having a space for me to just be myself and just talk to you. You were really awesome. Thank
Thank you.
you.